Hi, this is Christine. Today's tutorial is for Amy, who is putting new flooring in her home. Amy's questions included, can I put hardwood in my kitchen or my bathrooms? Do I need to match the woods in my furniture and my cabinets to the hardwood? And if so, how can I do that when I have different finishes? Should I go with a light finish or a dark finish, hardwood or laminate? These are the things I'll address in this video. This slide shows some of the different woods that Amy has in the living area to coordinate with. Her bookcase, her piano, and her kitchen cabinets are all very different shades. On a different day, I want to do another entirely different video on how to arrange that bookcase so that it looks really great. But we'll do that another day. So, in response to her first question, can she put wood in her kitchen? The simple answer is yes, especially if you have a very open floor plan and you want to use wood floors. I think it always looks better to have a continuous flooring surface. As a general rule of thumb, I don't like flooring breaks that are larger than a doorway, which is about 3 feet. So big flooring breaks that cut across a great room that divide it into carpet and wood, or tile and wood that are like 15 or 16 or even just 12 feet in length, to me is certainly not ideal, and I would try to have one continuous flooring surface. Now, with that said, there are some considerations to take in deciding whether or not wood is the right surface for you in a kitchen. With wood, you cannot have standing water. So what that means is if you spill something that's wet, it needs to be dried up right away, or it could mar your floor, it could lift the grain, it could actually ruin the floor if you don't catch it soon enough. So standing water is not good. Also know that you're never going to want to be wet mopping your hardwood floors. You sweep, you vacuum, you spray with a wood cleaner like Bona X, and then you dust mop your floors. So if you think that you have to wet mop a kitchen and you want wood floors, that's not a good combination. Amy's next question was whether or not she could put wood in her bathrooms. For this, I have 2 answers. Number 1, if it is simply a powder bath, which means there's no shower, no tub, I absolutely would put wood through a room like that. Part 2, if it is a bathroom that has a shower or a bathtub, personally, I would never put wood in a room like that. Anytime a room gets steamy, it can cause the wood grain, it's not maybe in the first week or month or maybe even in the first year, but over time, that wood grain will rise and it will feel differently than it does in other parts of the house. Also, if you ever have like large amounts of water on the floor, which if you have children, sometimes it's as simple as getting out of the bathtub that creates large amounts of water. You can ruin your floor. Again, just like I said in the kitchen, you cannot have a lot of water. You can't have a lot of water in a bathroom either. And it just becomes really hard to care for. Now, I'm going to address laminates in a minute, but I'll go ahead and address the laminate in a bathroom. Personally, I don't think, even though having water on the top of a laminate is not the same issue as having water on the top of a wood floor, you still can get water on the sides of any flooring installation where the flooring meets the wall. And that's the same with the laminate. And if you got water on the side, so say like right next to the bathtub, and water got in there and underneath the floor, that would buckle a laminate floor as easily or easier than it will buckle a hardwood floor. And so I would not put a laminate or a hardwood floor in a bathroom that has a shower or a bathtub, especially if children are ever going to use it. Amy's next question was whether she needed to match all of the woods that she had in her furnishings in her cabinetry with her wood floor, and if so, how can you possibly do that when you have different woods? Now, most of us do have a number of different woods in our furniture and perhaps our cabinetry, and so matching them is not even an option because you have more than one already that you're working with. For example, the red that's in Amy's piano is quite red, and there is also a very honey color that's found in her cabinets. What I like to do is I simply like to find a wood floor that has a really nice level of variation. What I mean by variation is that some boards are lighter, some boards are darker, some boards have a little bit more red in them, some might almost have some black in them. And so when there's a wood with a lot of great variation in it, it tends to pull on the colors that you find throughout the house and look really good. And so that becomes the challenge. You go to stores with wood samples, you pull out ones that you think are going to look good next to your items in your home, and you bring the samples home and you see how they look next to what you already have. Amy was also wondering how you decide whether you use a light finish or a dark finish. For this, I know that every house is different and I might give different advice in one home than I would in another, but I frequently give the same advice, and that is to use something in the medium tones. What you'll find is that the really, really dark and the really, really light tend to be trendy. So what that means is, for example, about 10 years ago, a lot of people were putting in an ebony finish, which is practically black. Today, a lot of people are putting in a very light whitewashed finish. Now, the ebony finish is still popular, but I'd be willing to bet that in about 5 to 10 years, it becomes less than popular and tends to look dated. Now, the whitewash finish, if you remember back in the 1980s, a lot of whitewashed floors were going in. As early as the 90s, people did not want those whitewashed floors anymore and they were pulling them out. Ideally, a hardwood floor is going to last longer than 10 years. And so what I would hope that my clients would find is a hardwood floor that has a color that will span the test of time and not be so trendy that it is no longer desirable in 10 years. And so for that, I like to put in a medium finish. Sometimes I lean a little darker, sometimes I lean a little bit lighter, but I stay away from the very trendy unless my client can afford to replace the floors quickly. I don't go with trendy colors. There are a lot of wood floors out right now that have a gray undertone or gray wash on them. I stay away from these. Again, unless the client can afford to replace them, they're not going to be popular in 15 years. They simply aren't, no matter how great they look today. It's not something that's going to stand the test of time. And so if you're looking for a hardwood floor that's still going to look great in 15 years, then go with a good medium finish. Amy also asked me whether she should go with a hardwood or with a laminate. Personally, I am not a fan of laminate floors. There are a few things about them that I don't like. I don't like the hollow, clicky sound. I absolutely dislike the transition strips that need to go next to everywhere the laminate floor transitions. And I also don't like how repetitive and plastic looking they are. Now, with that said, I know that not everyone can afford or has in their budget for really great hardwood floors. Personally, if my budget could not provide for a hardwood floor, I prefer a wood vinyl. In this slide, the floor on the left is hardwood, the floor on the upper right is a laminate, and the floor down on the lower right is a wood vinyl. The nice thing about the vinyl wood is that it is not a floating floor, and so you don't have the same water issues. So all of the things I said about not wanting to put the flooring in a bathroom, if you wanted that look in a bathroom, you absolutely could do a vinyl wood floor. Like this is from Forbo, and that kind of a product works great in a wet, steamy bathroom. It also is less expensive. Chances are you'll be able to install it for about the same price or maybe less than a good laminate floor. If money provides, there's nothing like the real hardwood floor. The look of it is rich and beautiful, and in my mind, there's no comparison. The only reason to go with a vinyl wood would be if you needed to either save money or if you had to put it in a wet bathroom. I wanted to recognize that all of the pictures of hardwood floors in this video are from Du Chateau Floors, which is a beautiful line, one of my favorite lines of hardwood flooring. There are still more things to consider while selecting your hardwood floors. For example, what species are you going to use? What kind of finish are you going to have on it? How thick does the flooring need to be? What type of distressing are you going to have? I can't get into all of those in this one video, or it will be an hour-and-a-half video, but if you have any other questions on hardwood flooring, check out my blog where I go into other details on selecting hardwood floors at www.christinefife.com.